still have a chance to win the NFC East and climb up to the top seed in the NFC. They'll need a little bit of help to get there. Obviously, they would need the Giants' reserves to shock the Eagles. That ain't happening. That being said, Dak Prescott says he's only focusing on what he can control, which is winning against Sam Howell in Washington on Sunday.
We've got to win. The focus first and foremost is win, play well, yes, and build momentum. And if we win the division title, that's not necessarily up to us at this point. We've just got to go win and take care of our business.
Saw a probability chart that said the Dallas is 91% locked in to visit Tampa wild card weekend.
So would you rest starters?
I think you want to keep the continuity going, probably a couple series, maybe a quarter.
Yeah, that's how I feel you attack this weekend, is you go through everything you would normal week, but I don't want Tony Pollard going into a playoff game. So I'm going to play Tony.
He sat last week, by the way, against the Titans.
Yeah, I mean, but I want him in practice this week.
Yeah.
I want him to have a couple of carries, but I'm not giving him the ball 15 times.
Offensive line has had some injuries. I would definitely bolster the backup so they're getting in there early. And Micah Parsons, nothing can happen to that guy. You need him at full strength next week. By the way, I'm just curious. Cowboys Tampa, you want to guess the line on that? What do you think it would be? In Tampa, by the way.
Dallas favored by 3.
I think that's about right.
Yeah. Is that it?
I haven't seen one yet because it's not locked in, but that game that's going to be probably we'll see. If the Chargers have to play the Bengals, that might be the best wild card game.
Chargers-Bengals is fantastic.
Aaron Rodgers, Niners. Gosh, next weekend.
Well, I can't wait.
Yes. All right, final story. Pro Football Hall of Fame announced 15 finalists for the class of 2023, highlighted by 3 players with their first year of eligibility. Dwight Freeney.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Yep. Darrelle Revis.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Okay. And Joe Thomas.
Oh, he's absolutely.
2 of the 3 have been on this show.
Yeah, no, those are Hall of Fame. Let me look at the list right now.
Jared
I don't
Allen.
want to make any enemies. Freeney is obviously. Thomas is obviously. Darrelle Revis is obviously. Andre Johnson.
Listen, Devin Hester has to get in. I mean, he's one of the. He has like a ton of return records. People were avoiding punting to him back in his.
Zach Thomas feels like a Hall of Famer, but is he the former Dolphin?
Yeah, the Dolphins linebacker. He's a very good player. Andre Johnson in his prime was excellent.
He was.
I mean, all these guys obviously.
Patrick Willis. Patrick Willis. Still, how long did he play? Out of Ole Miss, number 11 pick, Niners. Boy, he wrecked.
Yeah, he was a wrecking ball. Darren Woodson, didn't he? Super Bowl, didn't he have a pick 6 back in the day?
I mean, to me, the obvious ones: Joe Thomas, Revis, Freeney are Hall of Famers. To me, Freeney was a top 3 pass rusher for 10 years.
Yeah, a decade.
I always felt like it's the 10-year rule. Like, I never understood, and maybe revisionist history. Jim Rice, the baseball player. So when I was growing up, high school, college, Fred Lynn and Jim Rice were the Red Sox. But Rice, to me, Reggie Jackson was the home run king in the American League on the left side, A's, Yankees, Jim Rice on the right side. And apparently Jim Rice didn't get along with the media great. And for years and years, like, Jim Rice didn't get into the Hall of Fame. Like, to me, if you are anything great for 10 years, a decade of good. Steve Garvey was the best fielding first baseman for a decade. He was a great clutch hitter. I think he got, like, playoff MVPs. Steve Garvey's not, and Jim Rice, there's this pushback. I'm like, Steve Garvey for 10 to 12 years was the best fielding and a power-hitting first baseman, corner infielder. Jim Rice was a monster.
Yeah.
Not just because of Fenway. So Hall of Fames are weird to me. I always go, football, maybe it's an 8-year rule because of the violence. But in like 10 years of dominance at something, if you're top 2 or 3 in something, you feel like a Hall of Famer.
But you made a good point there. The media has a big say in this stuff. If you play well with the media, they like you. Colin, there's a lot of people that should be writing about this show, but we don't necessarily play well with the media, even though the numbers are great.
Do we have to?
People have no clue about some of that stuff.
Well, let's not talk about us.
Okay, fine. Let's talk about the NFL. I'm guarantee you some of those guys did not play well with the media, and they're going to get shafted when it comes time to vote.
To me, here's the other thing about Hall of Fames. If you have to think about it, you're probably not.
Okay, the quintessential.
Joe Thomas, Dwight Freeney, Darrelle Revis. If you don't think they're a Hall of Famer, you just don't watch football.
They were the best at their position.
For a top 2 at their position for a decade.
Okay, so this is where it gets complicated. He's not on the list, but he's going to be coming up here in a few years. Eli Manning was never, ever a top 3 quarterback in the NFL.
Okay,
ever.
But
we can agree on that. I don't even know if he was top 5.
Okay, you're right, but here's my argument.
I know, yeah.
Can you tell the story of the NFL without Eli Manning? Hell no. He beat Brady and Belichick on two of the greatest throws in league history in crisis. The David Tyree and Mario Manningham throw. Now, Tyree may be luck, but it is what it is. The Manningham throw goes down as arguably Big Ben to Santonio Holmes was a great all-time throw in the Super Bowl.
City, yep.
Okay. Manningham, Eli Manning, it had to be fit into a bread box. It is one of the great throws in the history of Super Bowls. Yeah. I don't know.
He's a Hall of Fame. No, he is. I know, but I understand the pushback. So we would agree he's a Hall of Fame.
Oh, I think Eli is.
Have to.
You can't beat Brady and Belichick.
Twice.
And as an underdog twice.
And one of them, the Patriots were undefeated. And one of the greatest teams ever.
And says that is the next room game. I'm not even going to listen to the audio of that game. But the Jets were talking about Zach Wilson, the quarterback out of BYU, number 2 pick. I didn't like it. Nothing against the kid. I thought it was going to be a major whiff. It has been. Now they're saying, we should have brought him in and let him sit for a while.
In hindsight, it probably would have benefited, just to sit back and learn a little bit and watch a veteran and do it and just kind of grow, in this league, kind of in the back seat watching and getting better in practice and getting better in through scout team and all that. But again, that wasn't the course that we went.
I think he could sit for 6 years. He's not a starting quarterback in the NFL. You could see it very early. Herbert, Burrow were forced into activity with bad offensive lines. You knew immediately. Kyler Murray forced into activity. Rookie head coach who just got fired in college. Bad offensive line. You got it. He doesn't. I don't mean to make it personal. But if it was about sitting, why didn't he get better year 1 to year 2? He's small. He's undisciplined. He plays hero ball. He's got bad mechanics. He's not great at the podium. Maybe the nicest guy in the world. But Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and Lamar Jackson sat, but they sat with like John Harbaugh, and Andy Reid, and a veteran coach, and a stable organization, and good ownership. The Jets are the Jets. They don't make anything easy. And I think there's a lesson to be learned with Zach Wilson. And I know that people in the NFL watch because I get text all the time, even on my birthday. Here's the lesson to be learned. I get all the time, people will send me stuff, fans. And I'm like, ooh, I never picked up on that. You can learn a lesson from anybody, even me. Be careful how much you ask of a young quarterback. He had to go from conservative Provo to New York City, the biggest, loudest media in America. He had to go from BYU schedule to Belichick twice a year and Sean McDermott. Rookie head coach. Play caller with not a ton of experience. A shaky offensive line. You were asking this kid, it was like the hurdles, one after another, after another, after another. Even if he was Mahomes, this could be choppy and turbulent. I mean, at least when Justin Herbert got to the Chargers, he didn't have the right coach and the O-line was bad, but he had like Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, and he had, some playmakers on defense. I mean, it was choppy, but there were things. He went to a big program. He went to a sleepy NFL team, the Chargers. That wasn't that big of an ask. He had a lot of years starting. He was a big, strong kid. The O-line was choppy, and the coach wasn't ideal. Joe Burrow, the offensive line was bad, but he had a couple of nice receivers. He had an offensive coach. They spent a lot of money on free agency. He didn't have to win by shootout. But, I mean, Zach Wilson, they just kept asking things. Provo to New York City. BYU scheduled to Belichick and Sean McDermott. And at the time, Brian Flores, I think. It was like 3 defensive coordinators. 3 of the best. Like 3 great defensive minds. Pass rushes. And then it's, a rookie head coach. I think Robert Saleh is probably going to make it, but you don't know. A defensive coach in New York. A play caller without a ton of play calling experience, bad O-line, and let's be honest about it. It's the Jets. I think this marks the 12th straight year they haven't made the playoffs. So people fell in love with his pro day. There's something else we can learn. I went